Hey, everybody. My name is Chrissy Moore, and I am so excited to be here today. This is a first live for us. I have my son, Justin, with me today, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about what the Lord has done for me through the book. So, for those of you that know or have seen, the Lord has recently allowed me to publish a book. The name of it is Broken Beautiful. It's a story, it's my story, but it's also a story about my family and just kind of what we went through and the abuse that we put up with. So in that, I just want to take a couple of minutes and say a couple of things to some people. So I'm going to read here, but anyhow, so I don't remember. So I'm going to be really honest. I'm just going to read. So I had a couple of people last week actually five. I had about five people last week, and they reached out to me separately, and they were telling me, hey, by the way, I wanted you to know that I got the book, and I also bought extra copies for other people. And that is my heart, y'all. So for those of you that don't know, my prayer has been to put this book in the domestic violence shelters and be given to the women in the domestic violence shelters. The heart also behind this book is to bring awareness to women, especially those who have gone through traumatic events and PTSD. However, in writing this book, something really cool has happened, and that's why I have Justin here with me. So one of the things that happened as I was writing the book, and Justin had a minute to read that. I actually had Kelsey read that as well. Him and Kelsey were proofing the draft. So this is like just a draft that you guys are reading. It wasn't even the final draft, right? So one of the things that happened was he actually got to a part in the book, and it brought some healing. And it started the journey of healing in his own life. So with that, I just wanted him to share just a little bit about what God did for him in the book. And this is why he's here. So he said something that was really cool after he read the book, and, he went through healing and started walking through healing. He said, Mom, I really feel that this book is going to be not just for women, but also for men. And to be honest, when I wrote this book, my heart was in it for the women, but also so that they get their voice back, right? So that they don't feel that they don't have anybody to talk to. I'm trying to empower them to get their voice back. But when he shared that with me, it was like, I actually didn't even have an idea that this would impact men. Mm-hmm. So now that you've gotten to read it, and I've actually had other men reach out to me as well, it has impacted them. And I just want you to, share with the men out there as well, like what happened, what did you read, and what did God do for you to send you on this trajectory of healing?
Well, first, I want to thank you for joining us. This is a huge journey. We've never done this before. Because of the book, I really feel like it impacted my healing journey tremendously, because I've been to counseling. I try to get help. I try to deal with the trauma, essentially, of Dad's passing, the traumatic story behind everything that happened, everything leading up to it. Mm-hmm. And going through the book, I read that I had thought that I actually dealt with the trauma. I had dealt with, grieving my father. Uh-huh. And I realized that going through it and reading it, and it wasn't even done yet, that I just started wailing. And the difference between a cry and a wail, it's like you can't even stop. Yeah. I think it's hard because as men, we don't talk about it. We don't share our feelings. I've talked to so many different men just that I know, and I tell them, have you ever shared your feelings with anybody? Have you ever shared your experiences? Have you ever shared anything that's happened to you? And they go, no, we don't talk. Right. We were raised not to talk. We are raised as men. We need to push our emotions down and suck it up, buttercup, right? Rub some dirt on it. You'll be fine. All these different, hilarious little sayings.
Right.
And you don't deal with it. So it's something to where after I read it, I really felt like, I know your goal was to help women. I know your goal was to help women that have been through traumatic domestic violence, abusive relationships.
Right.
But I really believe that, men, this can help you as well. If you've ever been the victim of domestic violence, mental manipulation.
Oh, wait, let's just stop real quick right there, because you just said, men, have you ever been a victim of domestic violence? So let me just I'm going to speak to that real quick.
Okay.
So, for women, thank God, and it's increasing more, but women have a platform and have over the last maybe 10 years, a bigger platform to be able to share and have domestic violence. We have domestic violence shelter. We have domestic violence counseling. But for men, which I didn't think about when the book was written, was that there is no place for men to talk about when they're dealing with domestic violence, because believe it or not, there are men who have been abused by women. Now, granted, not all is physical abuse.
Correct.
A lot of it is mental abuse, psychological abuse, and some of it could even be sexual abuse, right? So there's so many dynamics to the word abuse. I think for men, it's like, you're right, just shake it off, shove it down, stick it in a safe, and you never deal with it again. And I thought to myself, wow, this is huge.
Well, and it's crazy too, because we feel the same things that women do, right? We feel shame, we feel guilt, we feel blame. We feel like, okay, did I do something wrong? Like, is there something wrong with me? Did I make this person mad? Whatever the case may be. But at the same time, we don't talk about it because that's how we're essentially trained, right? To deal with it.
Yeah, boys don't cry.
Yeah. We don't talk about our feelings.
Right.
You're not a man if you talk about your feelings.
Right.
And I think that's kind of one of the biggest things that I learned. And so that's why I really promoted, men too, because I know that you were so ready to go help women, right? But how crazy to think that you're also going to help men, right? But not just men, your own children.
Yeah, that's actually really emotional. I'm trying not to look at you so I don't cry. But let me tell you, so when the next morning after he and Kelsey read the draft, one of the things he called and he says, "Mom, really got to talk to you right now." And I'm like, okay. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "I read the book and oh my gosh." And I said, "Are you okay?" Immediately I started to feel like guilt. Was it too hard? Was it too strong? And the thing is, he explained was I wailed for an hour and a half. And I just sat there going, what do you mean wail? So he just explained it. And after, we talked briefly and he explained what happened, but I'm going to let him share because I want him to be able to share that story. I got off the phone. I went to the foyer. I was at work. I went to the foyer and I just cried because one of the things I said was, Lord, never in a million years would I have fathomed that I would have written this book to be able to help my kids. And it's also the perspective in how the kids are going to read it too, right? Because there's going to be a perspective of like what you said, oh my God, this scared me to death. Am I going to be like my dad? And I said, no, because I didn't write the book to bring fear. I brought it
shame or guilt.
Or shame, right? Or guilt. I brought it to bring hope, right? To bring hope to people. So I want you to be able to read, and this is very emotional, you guys, because like I said, when I got off the phone, I started crying and I said, Lord, if it was just one person that this book was written for, and it was just my kid, like if it was just that one person, then I feel like the Lord has just done exactly what he told me to do. But I truly believe that after he read it and said, Mom, this is really going to help men too. And men started reaching out. I was like, wow, Lord, go for it. Let's go after this abuse. And, I'm going to let you share.
I think, and kind of like I was saying earlier, I think there's a difference between wailing and crying, right? Crying, you're crying, you're emotional, you're sad, you're upset, whatever the case may be. But wailing, it's like you've lost all bodily control of your emotions. It really felt, it's hard because I haven't talked about it since then, but me and Kelsey were sitting on the couch and we're sitting there reading it together. Or, technically she's reading it to me because she's got a better voice than I do. So I'm listening to her read it and I'm trying to understand what I'm listening to. And I'm going to read you here in a second what that part was, just so you can kind of understand. But I froze. And if you've never frozen because like your entire body just freezes, it's a weird feeling. It's something that I had no control over, and I just froze. And it got to a point to where Kelsey had to pull me on top of her lap to basically hold me and basically tell me, hey, it's okay. You're not there. You're not there. You're not in that same place. And I don't remember the time, but I felt like it was probably 30 minutes after that I literally had to open my eyes and look up at the ceiling and make sure I'm at my house. Yeah. I'm not in that same house anymore.
And technically, Kelsey said it was a little over an hour.
And that's probably more accurate.
And she had to pull him from the living room into the bedroom to shut the door because you were wailing so loud.
The kids were asleep, and so I didn't want to wake up the kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, I pray I didn't wake up the kids because, now they're going to be awake and now they're going to be like, okay, why is he yelling so loud?
Right.
But let me read it. So one of the different things too, as far as being the child of this trauma, is I'm having to read this book coming from the perspective of my mom, coming from the perspective of a child that actually went through the issues, the trauma, the, manipulation, the control, all this stuff, right? But the hardest thing about it is I had to be another perspective because I wanted to see how this actually book was written. Like, can I actually be a third party essentially and see it, subjectively? Mm-hmm. And so this is kind of what I'm talking about. So this is how well the book is written. Breakfast was eerily silent. You could hear the clinking of silverware, the occasional rustle of movements, but not a single word was spoken. The air felt thick. Then, out of nowhere, Chris broke the silence. Why is everyone so quiet? You're acting like someone died or something. He had no idea how true those words were. Someone had died. The Chris we once knew, the one we thought we knew, was gone. And I almost lost it again. And it's different because at this time he was alive, right? Mm-hmm. But reading that part, I did not realize that you'd put it in such a perfect way that that's the day that he actually died to us.
Right.
Because it's like, how can someone so normal or pretend to be so normal, flip a switch, mm-hmm. and it's like turning on a light switch.
Right.
The crazy's over here, and then it's off. Why is everyone acting so weird?
Right.
Like, what's going on? Like, did someone die or something? Like, what? And I can't tell you how many times those situations were similar. It actually happened. And we'd get in a fight, or he'd yell at, me or Josh or one of the other kids, and it's like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and all of a sudden it's just like, wait, why are you upset? Like, what happened? Like, right. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
yeah.
Did you completely forget the last 12 hours that had happened?
Yeah. And I think what's hard, right, is that people who have narcissist is such a big word that so many people use, right? But because there's so many bipolar disorder, mm-hmm. personality disorder, he was narcissistic, he was controlling, he was manipulative. 99.9% of the time, we all thought we were crazy.
Which is a typical narcissistic behavior. After,
Because he was the one that said, what is wrong with everybody? Like he just said, and we would sit there and go, well, did something happen? We literally would ask ourselves, did something happen? As if we had not just witnessed something horrific.
I mean, and with narcissistic people, you tend to second guess yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Good. Okay. I know I'm not crazy.
Right.
I mean, I've been in situations to where I've known people that have had to ask themselves, I know I'm not crazy.
Right.
Like, that did not happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, it didn't happen. Okay. Am I going crazy?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's weird because you start to think everything completely different.
Right.
And everything that he said, I mean, I can't tell you now. I mean, we just talked about it the other day that I literally have to go back now 34 years and go, okay, so the man that we knew was not the actual man that we knew.
Right.
And not just that, but not the actual person that he was.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's the hard part, is because when you think you know somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you really don't.
Yeah.
And whether you're married to him, whether, you've known him for years as a friend, whatever the case may be, you don't know the true person unless they truly allow you to see who they are.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And one of the things I wanted to just kind of touch on too was being a child growing up in a toxic environment. So I grew up in a very abusive environment. In the book, I talk about how badly my dad abused my mom in front of us. We were scared all the time. And then years later, I had to learn to medicate my pain, right, through alcohol, through drugs, became an alcoholic. I was institutionalized. So within myself, I thought, this is not going to happen to my kids. I will not put my kids through what I went through. But generational curses are real.
Mm-hmm.
And unless we know how to break them, they're going to keep repeating the same cycle. So now I'm going to ask you, because, I'm going to say it and people may disagree or not disagree, but I truly believe 100%, because nobody told me this. If you are in a toxic marriage,
mm-hmm.
and people say you need to stay for the children,
I would disagree.
Because you want them to grow up in a 2-parent home, then you do what it takes to stay together. So I did that. I was a Christian. I went to church. I followed the Lord, and everybody that I probably, just knowing the Lord and going to church, you are brought up, divorce is a sin. And I mean, it is. So I'm not disagreeing with that. Divorce is a sin.
Mm-hmm.
So if you stay in your marriage, even though it's toxic, even though there's abuse, even though there's rape, even though there's verbal, psychological abuse, you are doing the right thing because you are staying together for your children. Now, let me tell you why that is 100% incorrect. Because if you talk to any of my kids, Justin, Josh, Jeremy, or Jess, any one of them can say that they wished I would have left sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to have lived. I would have loved to have left sooner, but obviously it's, women who are abused, it's very scary for them to walk out. And it took a lot of courage for that point, to get to that point. But why do you think you shouldn't stay in a toxic environment? Because what did it actually do to you guys, seeing how your dad treated me? Now, granted, there was not physical abuse, you guys. I'm not downplaying domestic violence as far in the spectrum of physical abuse, because physical abuse is horrible. But psychological, or should I say psychological, mental, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, dismissal, rejection, abandonment is a huge one. And then, like, if you're in a relationship where you just don't acknowledge each other, you're both in the same room, but there's no acknowledgement, there's no conversation, and the heaviness is there, the thickness, the heaviness, just toxic. I'm going to say, what do you say as a child? I'm going to ask you as a child.
Well,
and what did it do for you when you got married?
So as a child, right? I mean, you essentially have to learn how to walk on eggshells, right?
Oh, dang, that's right.
Is this person going to be mad when I get home?
Right.
Is this person going to be okay? Like, what's the mentality like?
Yep.
What's the mood like?
And you know what mask to put on before.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, it's like, okay. I mean, and honestly, we would have, and we all have this is a triggering word for all of us because of the way that it was used.
Yeah.
But we had a family meeting, and that word itself was triggering because he would sit there for 6 hours, sometimes more,
Sometimes
but at
more.
least 6 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And as we got older, both my girlfriend and Josh's girlfriend at the time
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
were actually a part of those family meetings.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the hard part is when we were still in school was we had to like communicate with each other. Hey, is dad okay? Like what kind of mood is he in? Like what? So as a kid, you're already having to learn how your emotions reflect somebody else's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So because their emotions are one way, then your actions have to reflect their emotions.
Yeah.
So as a kid, you start learning that. Well, what does that do to you as an adult? Well, as an adult, you learn that if your spouse is mad or if they're angry, if they're upset,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do to change that emotion? What can I do to learn, okay, are you okay? Are you upset? Like,
Or what can I do to stay out of their way?
I mean, that too. I mean, there's plenty of times where I remember that I was like, okay, well, I mean, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to stay in my room. I'm just going to seclude myself, essentially. Right. And it becomes a psychological thing and a battle within yourself because as an adult, you know, emotional, psychological, spiritual, emotional abuse, all of that can turn into physical abuse and rage.
Right.
And
let me just add to that. So when their dad, because their dad didn't physically abuse them, but he psychologically and emotionally and mentally abused them. So one of the things that he would do is he would post up to them and say, what are you going to do about it? It was very,
are you man enough to take me?
Is it like provoking? It was very provoking, right? And so immediately they would shut down, but I could see their fists like in a clinch.
I mean, if we had, you know,
nails,
rose petals, we could basically just, you know, drain the water out of the rose petals.
Right. And so when you're that angry and you don't do anything and you hold it in and you hold it in and you hold it in, and then you condition yourself to hold it in, at some point,
you're going to snap.
It's going to come out sideways, which is exactly what each of us have had to walk through. And not just the boys, but, you know, myself, Jess, each person that has gone through all the trauma has had to heal in different ways. And we're still, let me just add this, we're still healing 12 years later. So
I just started my journey 2 months ago.
Yeah. And even I've been going to counseling for 12 years and I'm back in counseling again, just because it's a different season in my life. And I promote counseling 100%.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
But I think you have to be in that place to be like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with what's going on with me. I'm done with making excuses. I'm going to go and get help. And so we said all that.
So that's kind of a funny thing, right? So you said, so you want to go to counseling. So essentially, let me kind of, you know, go back to what I was talking about and what was the turning point for me, right?
Right.
So reading this in the book and wailing for, I guess, an hour, right? The hard part about that is realizing that I had so much emotion that I had pushed down. I had so much, I didn't grieve. I mean, I got to the point to where I wasn't allowed to grieve. I didn't know. I mean, I was 22 at the time, right? And I was told by multiple people, you need to just shake it off. You need to let it go. You need to deal with it. You need to just don't worry about it. Like, he's not coming back. I get that.
He's not going to hurt you anymore.
He's not going to hurt you anymore. But at the same time, how do you learn how to grieve somebody who is not here anymore?
Right.
But they've done so much damage to where you're going to your counselor and you're going, okay, like your first thing is I need to learn how to rewire my brain.
Right.
And your counselor's going, I don't understand what you're saying. And you're going, okay, so think about when you're having to rewire a house. You're having to take all the old wiring out and rewire everything brand new. Well, how do you do that in your head? And it's a very hard thing to think about because you go, everything that you've been taught as a baby, as a toddler, as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, everything is alive.
It's like you have to take apart those Christmas lights that are all jumbled up
and untangle them,
each strand,
and make sure that none of them are broken. And then which one is broken? Okay, which one is out? And then you're literally having to go. I mean, like,
and then replace the bulbs.
Yes.
So
and then
think about that.
Not knowing if it's going to work or not. Going, okay, I replaced this bulb, but I haven't plugged it in yet because I need to untangle it.
Yeah.
So as soon as I go plug it in, now half the strand's still not working.
Yeah.
So it's like it's basically you're having to go back and forth, right? Yeah. So I think this is something to where there's got to be a breaking point. There's got to be, a switch that flips in your head, and not a bad psychological switch, but somewhere going. Mine was, I need to grieve. Number one, I need to grieve the father that I had, the man that I grew up with, the person who I thought was my mentor, my hero. I called him my Superman, which he wasn't. And this is somebody that I have to learn to where, as a boy, as a man, now I don't have a mentor.
Right.
Right. I don't have somebody to help me go, this is how to be a man. This is how to truly be a man. Yes, you can deal with your emotions, right? This is how you grieve. This is how you feel. This is how you do that. But not just that, grieving the person that I loved, that, I was close to. I was at his side every single day. But the hard part is going, okay, I don't want to be him now. And I think that was the harder part. Was I don't want to become this person. I don't want to go 10, 20 years down the road. And now my kids are coming to me and going, hey, you really screwed me up in the head.
Which again, generational cycles, curses, they tend to repeat themselves if they're not broken.
And if you really feel like I'm at a point to where I don't know what to do, right? It's always good to ask. It's always good to find a counselor, find a trauma counselor, find somebody who knows how to deal with your situation, domestic violence, rape victims. A lot of psychologists deal with narcissistic mental behavior because they go, we want to understand how to deal with that stuff, right? What's the after effect?
And that's it right there. You just said it. What's the after effect? So let's say you get the courage, you leave, you get your family into a safe place. Now you're having to deal with the aftermath, kind of like a tornado. The tornado represents the abuser and it just kind of destroys everything in their path. And now you're having to deal with the aftermath. So you have to go to counseling to unwire codependency, emotional codependency. Actually ask yourself, wow, was I really in a toxic relationship? Because remember, when you're being abused, you don't believe that you're being abused. You truly believe that that's the norm.
Yeah. It's kind of hard because like when you're driving through fog, right, you can't see what's on the other side until you actually drive through it. So when you're in that abusive relationship, you feel like you're in a fog all the time. So one of the things that we talk about, and you talked about in your book, is learning how to live through that chaos, right? You're learning how to adapt and live through that chaos because that's what we had to do.
Yeah. And you do really well, by the way. You can function in chaos so good.
It's
normal.
It's scary because that's how good you understand on my emotions have to reflect this person's emotions.
Right.
So if my emotions are not matching up, and I don't respect what they feel, then now you're going to have essentially hell to pay.
Right.
Right. So the point of me is going, it's the after effect. It's not like, yes, I know I need help. I'm going to counseling. I'm talking to people. I'm kind of working through, this stuff per se. Right. But now what is my biggest motivation is how can I be healthy for my kids?
Right.
Right? How can I be healthy for my family?
Right.
How can I be healthy for my wife, my kids, and then my grandkids? It's generational, right? It's not just about me. It's about my kids and then their kids.
Absolutely.
And so how do we do that? How do we actually go through and change that?
Well, before going into anything further, that kind of brings us to our announcement. And the reason we're getting into the book and just talking about all this, because number one, it's not talked about a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, people do confide in friends and how they're abused. And I know a lot of women who have been abused in a previous relationship, and they never remarry or want a boyfriend or anything again.
Or the opposite. They go through abusive relationships and they jump into the next relationship.
Correct.
And then they never deal with it. And so they bring all of their baggage into
which happens.
Relationship.
Which happens. So after writing the book, you know, and just knowing what the Lord did for Justin, we started talking, and you know, those of you who know us, we are so good at going down rabbit holes. Like we can talk for hours. And we kept saying, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do to bring this to light? Mm-hmm. And so we prayed about it. And then finally, we just felt in our hearts to create a podcast specifically to talk about
the things not talked
about, abuse, rape. We're just going to mention just a few. So we're talking about abuse, rape. We're also going to talk sexual abuse of men. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about control, manipulation. How do I stop thinking like that? Victim mentality. Mm-hmm. And where are we going to talk about this? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to say it. So we are going to be creating this podcast, and the name of the podcast is called Breaking the Silence. And because that's exactly what happened to us. Mm. I broke the silence in my life, and just by getting my voice out there, by writing the book, and I feel like it's going to empower other women and now men to get and find their voices. But we're also going to create a platform for women to share their stories, not only just of what they went through, but what they came out of, but we're also going to open up the platform for men. And I think that's huge. We're going to have guest speakers that they have been through an abusive marriage where their spouse actually beat them up. Mm-hmm. You know, a very close friend of yours that he went through that.
Yeah.
But also, there's other things that men have gone through, even sexual abuse, even depression, that we have not talked about. And we're not going to give you everything, but that's going to be on several next shows. So please be encouraged. We're going to drop, you know, the links and just all the information right in the comments.
Yeah, we're gonna put the links in the comments. We're gonna make sure that we have our podcast out there. And this is still something that we're working on, right? We have a lot of the curriculum, essentially a lot of the topics that we're going to talk about. And we kind of talked about how we can actually gear it towards men and women. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of one of the things about, like, you know, me coming in this is because I'm not just the child of trauma, right? I have now essentially caused my own trauma, and I'm going to get more into that in some of these episodes. Just for perspective, at the age of 17, I did not realize that I was sexually abused by somebody that I trusted. And that's something else that people don't talk about, because as men, as teenage boys, right, we think, oh, you know, this older person is hitting on me, they like me, you know, all this other stuff. It's great, but then you don't realize as a teenager how that one is sexual abuse, mm-hmm. right?
And it's actually grooming, right? Because when you have an older person like 35 years old doing this stuff to a 17-year-old kid, it's not about being cool.
Yeah, it's a sick mentality, essentially. And this is something that I kind of went through, and I'm going to get deeper into it and kind of, you know, what all happened essentially. But this is one of the topics, and, you know, domestic violence, physical abuse, mm-hmm. Control. Like right now, I had to talk to my counselor about how do I learn to give up control?
Yeah.
Because the one thing about it is when you're in a traumatic event or a lifestyle and you have so many things that happen to you that you're not in control, mm-hmm. you learn how to take control everywhere else in your life.
Correct.
And so I recently...
Including relationships.
Especially
relationships.
Me and Kelsey have had multiple conversations about how do I give up control,
right,
and now give it to her, because it's not about being right. It's about making a point. She's like, no, it's not about, making a point. And so she's like, we have to do what's fair. We have to do this. We have to do that. I'm like, oh, no, like I want to do it my way.
Right.
Dang it.
But it's because you're out of control. So you need to bring it back in control. And that's not just in relationships. That's in simple little things. Like I think we talked about this. I'm that person that has to plan to do every single thing at 9:00. I'm going to do this. If we go on vacation, to have a checklist, like I pack and I check everything off. And we're in broken. I can't say it. I was like, say it 5 times.
Broken Bow, Oklahoma.
Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And we had like all these plans set what we're going to do. We got up this morning. We're getting ready to go to the river. And my tire has like 19-inch
PSI.
Like,
so a long nail in the tire, we found out.
And I'm sitting there going, oh my God. So now what do we do? So we're both the same way, squirrel. We're trying to figure out, do we go there? Do we go over here? Do we go over there? And so I said, you know what's so funny? And Justin was like, what? And I said, this totally did not go the way we planned.
Nope.
But you know what? I totally think that was God, because we're the same way. Like, do you have an itinerary? Like, what are we supposed to do? And what's plan B? And sometimes it's okay. Once you get healed, it's okay to just get in the car, go to the lake, and not even know what the heck you're going to do, but you're just going to enjoy it. I had friends that did that for me, came home from work one day, shoved me in the car, took me to the lake, and I sat there going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And they're like, chill.
Well, and
we're just chilling.
The funny thing about it too is you think about it, right? So it's comical, funny, haha, right? But what it is it's God telling you, or showing you essentially, you don't have to have control.
Right.
Why? Because I have control.
Right.
He is God. If you give him the control,
yes,
he will completely cover everything.
Right.
And it's funny because life doesn't go according to plan.
Right. But because we're in trauma, like those of you who have witnessed and gone through trauma, that's why it's so hard for you to let go of control. Because when you were raped, when you were hit, when you were cheated on, whatever, fill in the blank, you had no control over it. And now you're like, okay, that
now
will
I
never
have to take
happen
back.
to me
I have
again.
to take back control,
right?
So that way it doesn't happen. And that's kind of one of the points of this whole thing is we want to. I mean, because if we sit here and talk, we'll go obviously for hours, right? But that's one of the reasons why we want y'all to please subscribe, like, and share. Okay. We want y'all to be able to, we are talking to you as a person, right? Everyone's watching. We've got multiple likes. We've got multiple comments. Thank y'all so much. But essentially this is for you. Right. We want to talk to you as that person because you are the person that we're talking to. You are the person that we're helping. You are the person that is going through this right now, that we might have said something that kind of, caught your attention. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't know that this could happen. I didn't know that this is actually a thing. I didn't know that men go through this too.
Or I do that. Why?
Or I do that. I mean, and I didn't realize that I do a lot of the same things that my dad did that I never knew because it's not genetically connected to you. It is a familiar spirit. And what it is the devil trying to attach himself to you by somebody else that he's already hurt. Yep. So please do not let him do that. And that is the whole point, that we want to obviously reach out to women, but we also want to have men.
But before we go, because we're going to let you go, the first episode, okay, and those of you that know this beautiful woman, I want you to just give her a shout out because she's going to be our first guest and then eventually join us behind the scenes as a co-host, which I'm so excited. We're going to be interviewing Jonalyn Matias. Whoop, whoop. Whoop. So we're super excited. So let me tell you why. So we're not going to make light of what she went through, but this woman is a powerhouse, okay? She has an amazing story of not just living in domestic violence. Some of the things that they put her through is just like unspeakable. I sat there, have listened to her story. She's come to our group when I had a group. And the fact that she's on the other side of that and she smiles and she laughs. And when we go out, we crack up so much. I love to just hang out with her. I can see that the Lord has done so much healing in her life. The first episode, we're actually going to dedicate it to her. And the name of that episode is going to be Flight to Freedom. because that is her baby. That is her ministry. And just get ready because that's going to be our first show. So we're excited to share that with you.
Kind of curious how it's going to go because we all like to talk.
We all like to talk, y'all. So with me and Justin and Jonalyn, I'm going to have to be like my fishing pole, reeling everybody in.
Have to make sure not to send y'all down an emotional, pinball machine because we're going to be going back and forth and all that.
So if you're watching, Jonalyn, we're going to have to like figure this out. We're going to have to figure this out. But anyways, we're going to, get going. Again, we're going to put another plug in for the book. If those of you that have not read the book, this is Broken Beautiful. This is our story. This is my story, but this is also a story of hope. Those people have read it. Let me just be honest with you. It's very heavy. And the reason I say that is because it really does take you through a lot of traumatic events. So if you read it and you have been through certain abuses, I will tell you it could bring triggers. However, it's going to bring hope. Mm-hmm. It's going to bring hope as well. This is available on Amazon, on ebook, and on paperback. And this is my desire. If you guys show your support by getting this book for a person, please ask the Lord who to give it to. I have people that are sharing 3-4 copies. Mm-hmm. Ask the Lord to share it with somebody because I guarantee that a guy or a girl that is going through some type of abuse and that can be helped by this. I mean, I'm not going to take the credit. This is all God. And in the back, we do provide resources because, back when I went through all this, I had no idea where to go, y'all. But we do provide resources, and I don't want to do a spoiler, right? But everybody needs that person to help them walk out of abuse. My person was Brandy Barrett, and I honor her so much because she's so sweet. She always said, "Oh, don't. I didn't do anything. It was totally God." And I always say this, Brandy, yes, it was God, but you have to obey. If God puts it on your heart to go and help a woman out of domestic violence, you better believe that God is going to honor that person because they're being obedient. Okay. So everybody needs that. So for those of you, we want to bring hope. Those of you women who are asking yourselves, can I get out? Is there a way out? Yes, there is still hope. For those of you men that are sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe Justin shared his story and he's going to be sharing more. I encourage you to please come back because we're going to be sharing more information and resources, not to just get you out of what you've walked through so that we can show you the steps and tools to use, but we're also going to provide resources.
And I think one of the best things that I've kind of told myself essentially, and I've now shared it with you, is I mean, everyone has, skeletons in their closet, right? I now have to basically say that my skeletons are now coming out, right? One by one, having to sort them out, having to go through them, because there's so many things that have happened that I pushed down and down and down that I'm like, I don't, it's so overwhelming. How do I deal with it?
You can't even hide it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, there's just so many things. And when you get put to that position to where you start pushing it down, essentially you explode, right? You start to overfill, you explode sideways. Mm-hmm. So I will tell you, and I encourage you, men, to come back, join us, because we'll be talking about it in multiple episodes, right? We're going to have obviously guest speakers. The biggest thing about this is we're going to have both men and women on the podcast sharing their perspective, right? Each episode is going to be something different. So we're going to have somebody that correlates to that episode. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is that I can say is essentially it's all going to come out, because if you don't give it all to God, if you don't give it all to Him, He cannot heal you from it. Right. If you don't lay it all at His feet, He will not be able to heal you from it. Right. And so essentially my decision to share this and to do this is I want all of my skeletons to come out and just go, Lord, look, this is everything that's happened. I repent. I feel shame. I feel guilt. I feel, sadness. I feel just...
You told me you feel like a failure.
I feel like a failure, and I feel broken. Right. Right? And what can happen if you feel broken? Well, you can still feel beautiful.
That's right. God can make you beautiful. He can get the beauty, ashes. Out of ashes is beauty. So we're going to let everybody go. I'm going to be honest. I really don't know how to stop the live. So we're going to try to figure it out. But remember, join us for the next episode. We're going to do Jonalyn Matias, and we're so excited to have her. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. And remember, there's hope.
There is. There's healing and everything else. Thank you, everything else.
Thanks. Bye. I told you we're trying to figure out